Hey there, my name is Salendrak and welcome back to my Terraria version 1.4 Journeys and Beginner's Guide series. We're in hard mode now and have farmed up some nice upgrades from hard mode ore, regular and bio mimics, and other new monsters, so now it's time to start taking down the next big challenge, the mechanical bosses, starting with the one most people usually do first, the Destroyer. As with all my boss guide videos, I'll cover spawning the boss, fight mechanics, loot, arena preparation, and strategies and gear loadouts for all classes and difficulty levels. Timestamps are down in the description and let me know down in the comments which mechanical boss you prefer to take down first. Now let's get to it. All three of the mechanical bosses basically share the same spawning rules. Once you're in hard mode and at least one evil altar has been smashed, there will thereafter be a 10% chance for a mechanical boss to spawn each night, with the game picking randomly between any of the mech bosses that haven't been defeated yet in the world. Just like the Eye of Cthulhu in pre-hard mode, when night falls you'll get a message at the bottom of the screen indicating that a mech boss is inbound. And the message for the Destroyer is, you feel vibrations from deep below. If you're still on the surface level of elevation 81 seconds later, the boss will spawn a little ways off screen. The boss can also be manually summoned by using a mechanical worm item at night. This item has an extremely low chance of randomly dropping from pretty much any monster in hard mode, and can also be crafted at your hard mode anvil using 6 souls of night, 5 iron or lead bars, and either 6 rotten chunks from most corruption mobs, or 6 vertebra from most crimson mobs. The boss itself is much like the Eater of Worlds and is a super long danger noodle consisting of a head, a whole bunch of body segments, and a tail. Like the Eater, coming into contact with the head deals much more damage than any other body part, and the head gets particularly dangerous on Expert and Master mode. Simply put, you do not want to get hit by the facial hurt juice on higher difficulty levels, and keeping an eye on your minimap is a good way to keep tabs on the head's location, so you'll have advanced warning of when it's inbound. Unlike the Eater of Worlds though, the individual body segments all share the same health pool, and the Destroyer will not split up into smaller segments the way the Eater does. However, each time a body segment is damaged, there is a 4% chance that a flying probe will be released from it, which will follow you around and shoot lasers at you. Once a probe is released from a body segment, that segment's light will turn off and will thereafter not release any additional probes. The probes themselves have individual life pools, with classic probes having 200 health, scaling up to 300 on Expert and 450 on Master mode. The Nope Rope itself will also periodically fire lasers at you, so it's a good idea to focus on the probes when there are lots out in order to decrease the amount of incoming fire. As the probes will drop mana stars and have a 50% chance of dropping hearts, killing them will also help you get your health and mana topped up. Movement-wise, the Destroyer follows standard worm AI in that it can pass through solid blocks, but isn't actually able to fly through the air, as it needs to move through other objects, including both blocks and platforms, in order to propel itself upwards until gravity pulls it back down. Consequently, if you build a platform high enough above any other objects, you'll be able to stay above the boss entirely, which can make dodging lasers and probes a bit easier as you won't be worried about dodging the body of the boss. The Destroyer has about 10 times as much health as the Wall of Flesh in each respective difficulty level, so be prepared for a more drawn out fight unless your DPS output is through the roof. For your arena, your surface level fighting arena should serve you pretty well, particularly on classic difficulty, though you may want to make it wider now that you're in hard mode and possibly taller. And if you want to keep your distance from the murder spaghetti, just build a row of platforms that is at least a full screen above any other block or platform, and you'll be able to attack the boss from above with little worry of getting hit by the body or by the head, as it will be hard if not impossible for the head to get up that high, depending on how much distance there is to the next lowest block or platform. As always, make sure you have complete coverage of arena buffs, including heart lanterns, campfires, and if you're using mana, stars and bottles. Sunflowers and peace candles will help to reduce the amount of regular enemy spawns, and a few honey baths can also help a lot, as the boss's extremely high health can make the fight drag on, so anything that increases your staying power will be quite beneficial. For gear loadouts, you'll want to use armor that is at least the second or third tier of hard mode armors with your preferred class helmet, so orichalcum, mithril, titanium, or adamantite, or either of the hybrid sets of frost armor or the forbidden armor. Reforging accessories to warding can help a lot as it will significantly reduce the damage done by lasers, though on all difficulties you'll want to watch out for and avoid getting hit by the head. All classes should use a summoned minion and a sentry weapon, and good options at this point are the Queen Spider Staff for your sentry and either Abigail's Flower or the Spider Staff for the minion. If you've had a chance to farm Angry Nimbus Clouds for the Nimbus Rod, you can also place 2 of these clouds for additional damage. All classes will want movement speed boots and a good pair of wings, as well as your chosen class emblem, and the remaining accessories will be customized for your specific class and personal preference. Melee characters have several decent options on classic difficulty, particularly if you've got really high armor, so you can get up close and personal with the Caution Ramen. The Knight's Edge from pre-hard mode actually works decently well in classic thanks to its labor of love upgrades, and even the Tao of Pow can be used quite effectively. Yo-yos work great if you have the yo-yo bag, and good options include the Amarok from the snow biome or the Hellfire from the underworld. And if you're in a Crimson world and want to shred the destroyer in record time, the fetid Bognocks from Corrupt Mimics are fantastic on all difficulty levels. The key to this weapon is its speed, so you'll want to make sure it's been reforged to legendary, that you're using Feral Claws or its upgrade, the Power Glove, and bonus points if your armor also boosts melee speed. Because you'll be right in the thick of things, a great defensive accessory is the Cross Necklace or its upgrade, the Star Veil, both of which will decrease your incoming damage by increasing your temporary invulnerability whenever you get hit. A Cobalt or Obsidian Shield will prevent knockback, and on Expert and Master mode you'll also likely want to use the Brain of Confusion or the Worm Scarf. The Moon Charm from Full Moon Werewolves also provides a wide array of buffs for melee characters. If you aren't in a Corruption world though, or don't want to get up close to the boss, then your next best option from Classic through Master Mode is going to be the Shadow Flame Knife, which drops from Goblin Warlocks from the hard mode version of the Goblin Army event. This weapon lets melee characters fight at range, so an elevated platform works really well, as you can focus on throwing the knives up at the probes, but the knives will also bounce off of hit enemies and fall down to deal damage to the boss. Just keep moving to avoid laser fire while aiming at the probes and you'll down the boss in no time. Moving on to Rangers, I've got 2 words for you. Daedalus Stormbow. Well, actually 5 words, because you want to use it with Holy Arrows. The Daedalus Stormbow drops from Hollow Mimics, and although it was nerfed a bit in the Journey's End update, it is still one of the best weapons in the game for destroying the Destroyer. Holy Arrows are the best ammo to use, and are crafted from wooden arrows, pixie dust, and unicorn horns, with pixies and unicorns being farmable in the surface level of the Hollow. The elevated platform technique works best so you can rain arrows from above, damaging probes and boss alike, as each use of the bow will drop 2 to 3 arrows, and each arrow that hits an enemy will drop falling stars for additional damage. Add in a Star Cloak or any of its upgrades, and it will be raining firepower down from the heavens. And if you don't have a Stormbow, then the next best ranger alternative is to, well, farm more Hollow Mimics until you get one, as it really is the best option at this stage of the game, and everything else just pales in comparison in terms of overall effectiveness and ease of use. Of all the classes, mages probably have the highest variety of options for taking down the Destroyer. If you're in a Crimson world, then the life drain from Crimson Mimics works well on all difficulty levels, as it does area damage wherever your cursor is pointed, allowing you to focus on probes as needed or otherwise hit multiple segments of the boss at the same time, while also constantly healing you. The Golden Shower also works great on all difficulties, and is crafted at a bookshelf using Souls of Night, Ichor from the Underground Crimson, and a spell tome purchased from the Wizard NPC. Because this weapon has basically infinite range and piercing, you can shoot it upwards to control the probes and it will still rain down to hit the boss. If you're in a corruption world, then the Clean Your Staff combined with the Crystal Vial Shard works really well on Classic and Expert difficulty, but because it requires you to stay close to the boss and has a poor range for dealing with probes, I wouldn't recommend either of them on Master Mode. If you don't mind staying close to the boss though, then the Desert Spirit Lamp can be used on all difficulties. Just be careful not to get hit by the head, particularly on Master Mode. Otherwise, if you want to keep your distance and rain destruction on the boss and probes alike, the best option is the Meteor Staff, crafted from meteorite bars, pixie dust, and souls of light. This is a pretty mana-hungry weapon, so definitely be sure to use mana regeneration potions. You probably won't need mana potions though, as there should be plenty of mana stars available, and it's probably better to pause for your mana to refill naturally rather than incur the mana sickness debuff. For armor, I recommend either adamantite or titanium armor on all difficulty levels, as the forbidden armor has much lower defense, meaning you'll have a lot less staying power. Though, if you're really good at dodging, the forbidden armor's Ancient Storm ability, triggered by quickly double tapping up or down, can deal some nice damage to the boss, especially if you're able to place it on the Caution Ramen spawn point. For accessories, a Celestial Magnet purchased from the Traveling Merchant or any of its upgrades works well, as it will greatly increase the pickup range of mana stars. But I would personally go with defensive accessories like the Star Veil, Bee Cloak, or Sweetheart Necklace. Summoners don't have a lot of fun toys to play with at this stage of the game, and are the only class that, for whatever reason, don't have their own special helmet for the 3 tiers of hard mode or armors. On Classic and Expert difficulties, you can get the job done with Spider Armor and the Spider Staff, supplementing your DPS with the Queen Spider Sentry and maybe a pair of Nimbus Clouds. This setup can also work on Master Mode, but you might want to farm up the Forbidden Armor for slightly higher defense and the added utility of its Ancient Storm attack. And unlike the other classes using ranged options, as Summoner you'll most likely not want to use an elevated platform, as you'll rarely be able to hit the boss with your whip and will need that added DPS. So keep a close eye on your minimap to avoid the head, as a direct hit will likely end the fight early and not in your favor. Whip-wise, your best bet on all difficulties is the Cool Whip, crafted from 8 Souls of Light, 8 Souls of Night, and a Frost Core from Ice Golems that spawn in the hard mode Snow biome during a blizzard. And if you want better minion damage than the Spider Staff, you'll need to go fishing during Blood Moons and take down the Dread Nautilus for the Sanguine Staff. For accessories, Feral Claws and its upgrade, the Power Glove, will help boost your whip damage, and of course you'll want to use your Summoner Emblem for its damage boosting powers. Beyond that, Boots, Wings, and probably a Star Veil are great options, and on Master Mode, a Shield of Cthulhu and Worm Scarf or Brain of Confusion will also help. As far as loot, the Destroyer will always drop between 25 to 40 Souls of Might, and a bunch of Hollowed Bars, the next tier of hard mode metal, with 15 to 30 bars dropping on Classic difficulty and 20 to 35 bars on Expert and Master Mode. All difficulty levels also drop 5 to 15 Greater Healing Potions, have a 10% chance to drop the Destroyer Trophy, and about a 15% chance to drop the Vanity Destroyer Mask. On Expert and Master Mode, the boss's loot bag has a 100% chance to drop the Mechanical Wagon piece, which, when combined with the parts dropped from the other 2 mech bosses, will form the Minecart Upgrade Kit, which permanently upgrades all minecarts and also gives you the very speedy Mechanical Cart. In addition, the Master Mode boss also drops the Destroyer Relic and has a 25% chance to drop a deactivated probe, which activates your own personal Snoot Booper Vanity Pet. As for what to do with the Souls of Might and Hollowed Bars, the bars can be used to make a variety of items, including the Hollowed Armor, which does have unique helmet options for each of the 4 classes, Summoner included. You'll need to kill the boss at least a couple of times though to get enough bars, as a full set of armor with just one of the helmet options takes 54 bars in total. But this will be a great upgrade for all character classes. Bars alone can also be used to make the melee weapons of Excalibur, Gungnir, and the Hollowed Jousting Lance, while for ranged characters there's the Hollowed Repeater, and summoners get a nice whip upgrade, the Durandal. Hollowed Bars can also be used to upgrade the Star Cannon into the Super Star Shooter, but sorry mages, other than the armor, no new upgrades for you. The Souls of Might can be crafted with hollow bars and Souls of Light to make the Light Disc a fun boomerang type melee weapon, and can also be used to make an upgrade for the mini shark, the Mega Shark. But other upgrades using Souls of Might will require additional soul types that you'll get from the other 2 mechanical bosses, which I'll discuss in the 3rd Mech Boss Guide. Overall though, the Destroyer isn't too hard to handle so long as you've got a good arena set up, have at least the 2nd tier of hard mode armor, and have a few good hard mode weapon and accessory upgrades. It's usually the first mechanical boss that most players defeat in early hard mode, and getting the hollowed armor and other available upgrades will make the remaining mechanical bosses that much easier. Thanks for watching, hit that like button if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!